Okay, so hold on really quickly. Let me share our page. So really just sharing this to, okay, yeah. So we did give the information about the reflective essay, but not the samples. All right, I'll post that in this week's module. That's no problem. You guys are aware we're in week 13. Again, next week is that CRT, final CRT, and the submission of ePortfolios. Today is the work in preparation for our assessment week. All right, let me go ahead and reiterate that final reflective essay. The last announcement you guys received, it stated that we should start planning it. You guys are aware this will be a 5-paragraph assignment. Just to remind you guys, I know we've talked about it. The prompt that you guys are responding to for the final paper is, in what ways have you grown and developed as a reader, writer, and critical thinker? So I have some samples that we can also take a look at. If we have time today, then we'll look at it today. If not, it'll definitely be posted in our week 13 module. I think I have a chat that came in. It looks like you are here, Caesar. All right. Did you guys have any questions about that final paper, that reflective essay? Have we started at least the planning process? In a way, we have started the planning process. Even if you guys haven't done anything independently, we've started the planning process with the journal exercises, the 2 that we've completed recently, where you guys have answered the question. We've taken steps to break down that prompt question. So one journal entry was, in what ways have you grown as a reader? You guys really put in good information in that entry. Use that to help you build, if not that body paragraph, definitely your thesis statement. We also did a pre-writing, or can we call it free write journal exercise, where you guys responded to, in what ways have you grown and developed as a writer? This week, we'll explore and look at, in what ways have you grown and developed as a critical thinker? And in putting those ideas together, you guys are really in step 1 of the writing process. So it's going to be up to you guys for homework, in between our class meetings, to really start drafting, putting those ideas in sentence form and seeing how they work. So while we're working on studying for the CRT, while we're working on putting the ePortfolios together, you guys have the added responsibility of working on drafting this final paper. Keep in mind, it is 5 paragraphs. And again, you are detailing your growth and development in the areas of reading, writing, and critical thinking. So make sure you're putting time aside to work on that essay, okay? Um, let's go to, give me 1 second, you guys. Let me put up the CRT article. So give me 1 second. Let me share that with you. Um, as I'm getting this up, you guys, um, previously the article that you guys used for the practice CRT, uh, Mike Rowe's article, I think we all agreed that maybe not the most interesting article, right? But we did speak about ways of making articles interesting to you. So finding those connections, we'll talk about that. Let me, still have students coming into the class. So let me pause a second and let a couple of students in. All right. If you're just coming in, pause with me for just 1 second. What I'm doing is I'm pulling up the final CRT article to share with you guys. So give me 1 second to do that. And this way we can look at it together. We're going to take time in class today to read it together. Let me pull it up. Okay, hold on, let me share my screen. Okay, it's okay, you guys. I see I got a couple of private chats. If you have to come in and out, that's okay, don't worry. I had issues with Wi-Fi this weekend, so we'll work around it. The good news is if you do have to kind of keep coming in and out, I am recording today's class session. So if you miss anything, I'll be sure to post it so that you're not missing too much pertinent information. But let me show you guys or introduce you to the final CRT article that you guys will not only be reading, annotating, and executing those critical reading skills that we've been taught all semester. You'll also be using this article to answer short answer questions, multiple choice and vocabulary questions, as well as the final essay question. Okay, so rather than just surface read the article, we're going to read it several times. So we're going to have an in-class reading today where students kind of take their time and in our own quiet little spaces, although we are collectively together, we'll go through a reading of it. On the other end, we can talk about perhaps maybe our thoughts, our concerns. We can begin to address those as you guys take the rest of the week to take it through a second read. Not only include your annotations, but also include your connections to the text. Why is this important to you? Why, do you agree or disagree with the author's take? Can you relate to any of the information? All of that is really important in not only answering the critical reading questions, but also in developing an essay in response. So there's multiple steps we have to take when reading and assessing the article. So one thing I want you guys to see that you probably can see off top, we know when we talk about previewing, normally what we're going to look at is about how long it is. Yes, but you guys to look at how long it is. Because one thing that I think I tried to do early on is I tried to tell you that final CRT will be planned for about 10 to 11 pages, I think is what I stated. We're a little bit longer, but I think it is due to the formatting of it. You guys see how they have it broke down paragraph by paragraph. So this is kind of making it appear a little bit longer than what it is. But what I like about the paragraph by paragraph breakdown is it's manageable. We can take one paragraph at a time, make sure we understand it and we're clear on what it means before we move on to the next paragraph. So this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. We have a little bit of time before we take the final CRT. So we have time to really digest this information. So definitely don't take it lightly. And to make sure that we do not have a rerun of what we did with the Mike Rose text, where I believe a lot of students did not even read or look at that article until they were sitting down to take the test. We're going to take it through a read. I believe there is about 20, okay, so about 22 paragraphs. So let's go back up to the title. So we looked at, so again, taking it through the previewing steps, those steps that we take readings through. We looked at about how long it was. I like how they have the conclusion clearly marked for you. I'm going to tell you guys, they're helping us out a tad bit, because anytime I preview, what I like to do is I like to look at the title, kind of like to look at the authors, and then I read normally the introduction and I go to the conclusion and I read those to frame it first. Let me get an idea of what the topic is, what the author's position on that topic is. That's normally presented in the introduction or in the thesis, maybe a couple of paragraphs down, but normally early on in the article. And then I look at the conclusion, where normally in the conclusion, the author will reiterate their main idea. They will summarize their key points. So before I dive into reading, I look at the title. So this is Black Lives Matter, a commentary on racism and public health. I can tell from where they took this article, from the American Public Health Association, this particular journal, that this is a important study on public health. So it's taking a look at racism in its relation to the health of the public. Okay. So while it may have many other impacts, this particular article, to me, this is what I'm picking up from the title, will focus on the public health implications of racism. Okay. So that's just, this is us taking it through a previewing. I like to have an idea of what it is I'm about to read so that I'm prepared to take in the information. So I know this is going to talk about racism, but we're dealing with it in terms of a public health issue. Okay. I see that the authors are doctors. So we have PhD doctor. So, a doctor in terms of policy, right? And then we also have a, medical professional. So we have here the credible authors who are going to give their insight. And I know they're credible because they have the training and the expertise. I can just tell by their credentials. Okay. So again, what I do first is I read introduction, what we all should be doing in terms of what we learned about critical reading skills. Let's preview what this particular text may talk about. So let's take a second. You guys see it on your screen. Let's read the first paragraph quietly to ourselves. We'll take a small minute, and then we're going to go down and read the conclusion as well. Oops. So this is a pretty short paragraph. Did we need a little bit of extra time in kind of digesting what we've read here?
I think we're going to move on.
Okay, let me go ahead and move down to the conclusion. This is all part of our process of previewing. Uh-oh. This is all of the citations. As you guys are reading, you'll see blue numbers in between the text. Those blue numbers are simply citing the source. So it's allowing the writer or the author to reference where they're using the material or information of others. So normally you guys will see a blue number in between the readings. And what it'll do is it'll take you to the source where they got that particular information. So try not to be thrown off by those numbers. All right. Conclusions, they say, are these two paragraphs. We'll start here at paragraph 21, and then I'll move us up. Okay, I'm gonna move on up to paragraph 22. All right, you guys. Do we need more time on paragraph 22? All right. Let me kind of move up then. Is it okay if I go ahead and move back up to the top of the page? Now, I've shared this on our Brightspace page. All right, good, MJ, thanks. I shared this on our Brightspace page under module 13. So even though I have this up on the screen, you guys still have access to go and view it individually. And that's kind of what we're going to do in just a moment. But let's talk about what our previewing. Prior to us diving into the text, we're kind of snooping around to see what this particular text is designed to teach us or to tell us, right? So and here too, I'm looking at the date. I see that they mentioned Eric Garner and was it Michael Brown? Yeah. So I could tell that this was done a few years ago. I could tell because it didn't bring in any of the current losses that we're debating, now in 2020, in a very similar fashion. So I'm aware of the date, but it tends to show that even with this being 2020, that in 2015, this idea of racism and its effect on public health, it's been on the radar for a while. So these are, again, public health professionals who are attempting to tackle, what they call a key fundamental cause of health concern, right? So we see that here. So the date was important to me, again, title, authors. But let's look at what we learned in the introduction paragraph. Now, if you guys, I don't know if you saw my screen, but when I read, I immediately put pen in hand. I cannot read and just think that I'm going to somehow memorize my ideas, or just think that the minute something else comes into my mind, that I won't forget those ideas, right? So I jot down, even from previewing, I jot down my notes, what I saw and what I kind of took away from that. For this assignment, even though we're reading it today in class, when I see you guys again on Thursday, I need to see annotations. It's a assignment that, whether you guys will be doing it on this actual document, I think this is a PDF file, or whether you'll be writing your notes paragraph by paragraph. So paragraph 1, and then you'll jot down whatever your notes, or even maybe summarizing what you understood that to mean. That is a requirement in terms of Thursday's class. I tried to make it a requirement for the Sandra Cisneros only daughter, but I think only 3 students out of 9 submitted any annotations with those post-reading questions as well as that essay. So with this, I'm going to bug you. I need to see evidence. How did you read it? How did you interact while you read the text? Because this is too much for you guys to just think I'm going to read it. I'm not jotting anything down, but I'm going to know exactly how to answer questions on this. I'm going to know exactly how to answer short answers, and I'll be able to just build an essay out of the clear blue sky, just out of my mind. I don't believe we're there yet. I don't think any of us are as I'm not even a stronger writer to where I can just materialize information out of thin air. So if that is a strategy that we have, I don't want you guys leaving my English 96 class and going to a 101 course without any idea of the importance of annotating when you read, especially as you guys will go into college level courses when you will be inundated with a lot of information. When you get into nursing, your medical terminology, or whatever courses that you have, you're reading multiple chapters a week. And if you think you can just read them and kind of hold what you know all up here in your head, you will be sadly mistaken. So for this particular week, for this particular assignment, annotations, your notes on the reading, they're mandatory. I need to see them. Okay. So any of us, while we were reading this, did we jot down any notes?
Yeah.
My immediate go-to is, let me take note of what it is I'm reading, because they're going to ask me 3 or 4 different times, what is the author's purpose? They're going to ask it in different ways. They're going to ask me 3 or 4 different ways, what is the author's main idea? They're going to ask me about certain vocabulary and information like that. And contrary to what you may think, you guys will not have a time to seek out and hunt out, all of the answers to this. So to help us prepare for the final CRT, not only are we going to have a solid understanding of the article, we're also going to have notes in hand that is going to help us as we go through our questions, that are going to help us when we have to write our summary, and that are going to help us when we have to develop an essay. So right off top, a note that I made in reading the introduction. So, all right, this is really good information. They're letting us know, just like an introduction operates, they're giving us the background information. They're walking us through how they arrived at the main idea that they have, right? So this all came from these incidents, these racially motivated or racially unjust killings, right? So they talked about that. And they talked about how the discussions from these sparked, many, community members to look at the stark racial injustices that have kind of been plaguing America's history. And as healthcare professionals, they started to question or look at how that may have an impact on public health. So they just walked you through how they arrived at the place where they were prompted to study this on a social and public forum in terms of health, right? So they talked about that. They said, even though you may think that this is like isolated events, right? They said, by no means are these isolated incidents. It says, despite the media's disproportionate focus. Now, the fact that they said media's disproportionate focus, we'll come back to that, on men, clearly I can tell from this introduction that they're going to talk about or analyze not only how it affects that group, but how it affects women in terms of people of color, and also those people, in the LGBTQ community as well. So transgendered people of color as well. So in the introduction, I know that this article is going to talk about race and its impact on public health, but they're going to look at, or they're going to analyze not just men, but also how it impacts women, and also how it impacts transgendered people of color as well. So I can prepare myself that is what, in the reading of this particular text, I'm going to look at also how it impacts women and transgender people of color as well. So I see that here. I made a note where they said intersectional analysis demonstrate that racialized police violence and misconduct are inflicted upon women and transgendered person of colors as well. So they're looking at not just the isolated impact of, the, male person of color, male, but also how it will impact that family, how it will impact that community, how it will also have resounding effects with the transgender community as well. So we know that in these pages that we are going to read through, we're looking at an analysis of how racism affects the public health, not only of men, but also women and transgender. We have that going in. That is going to help me be able to manage this information as I read it, because I know, first of all, what the topic is. I know how they plan to talk about it. So it will be easier for me to manage that information as it comes in. All right. So again, I made a note of racism as key fundamental cause of health. That is going to be their point. They're going to talk about how racism is the key fundamental cause of health issues. Okay. So I know that is their point, or it's somewhere around there. Look, you guys will have to articulate it how you see best, but we know that that is somewhere hovering around the point. You guys wink, wink, and draw your conclusions on your own. Let me come really quickly back down to the conclusion, just so you guys can see what to do with that information. Did anybody make any notes or notice anything in the conclusion that you may find helpful, that you think may help you in the overall reading of the text? Tell me what you saw, what you noticed in your previewing of the, uh-oh, my bad, it's here, of the conclusion. All right, I'll say it for us. Paragraph 21, which they have broke down under conclusions, right? Look at how they have this itemized breakdown. They just highlighted their 3 key points. So they're telling you what we've done, what they have done in the article. They've emphasized racism as a key fundamental cause of health that is crucial in the work of any public health professional. I jotted that down. I picked that up from the introduction. So here they are reiterating it. in the conclusion. Second point that they made in the article, they discussed the importance of distinguishing between race and racism in public health work. So they're going to talk about making a clear distinction. We're not looking at people according to race. We're looking at the impact of racism. So they break that down and give you guys a good working definition of how that is used with this public health work. And lastly, they described how racism goes beyond any isolated incident because it's structural. So lastly, they're going to talk about what they described as intersectional analyses. They're going to talk about how racism intersects in every area of society and life. So they're going to talk about where they said not how it's an isolated incident, but how it's structural. So they're going to talk about how it impacts all of the societal structures. So they just told you how they broke it down. So now when I read, I can organize this information. I can read my first few paragraphs and know that this is laying out racism as a fundamental cause of health. I can read through a few other pages and know here they're talking about the importance of distinguishing race between racism. And lastly, they're going to show how it all impacts, how it isn't an isolated event, but how it impacts the entire community. Okay. So we have that going into. Now, do you guys agree? Tell me this. Getting that out of the way before you dive into a 13-page article, does that not make that information a tad bit more manageable?
It does.
We do not have to just blindly enter a lengthy text, because what you're going to be overwhelmed with all of the information. And when you have this many pages, you may tell yourself, well, I don't know where to go for the main idea. Where is the main idea? Normally, just like you guys are writers in this class, you know your main idea is housed early in the essay or early in your writing. If not that first paragraph, the first few paragraphs, since this is a journal writing, a medical writing, and in the conclusion. So we have that. What I want us to do with the next, I want to say 35 to 40 minutes. I want us to take a moment to read the rest of the article, and it may take more than 35 minutes. This is just kind of the space that I'm checking in with us at. But okay, I have it here on the screen, but let me show you guys where you guys will go to access it, because we're about to take a moment to read the article. Hold on 1 second. So Caesar, you're giving me stuff in my private chat that I'm worried about. So when you say that you have no, oh, I think you were talking, that was earlier. Never mind. That was earlier. Okay. We can do a sidebar if you're confused about anything. Let me pull up Brightspace. Hold on. Why is this not showing up? Okay. All right, you guys, take a moment, whether you're using your Brightspace apps or you are actually on the laptop, you want to go into content. So we can click here on content, go to week 13 module. This particular week is identified as final CRT prep. So in this folder, in this module, right now I have the CRT article, but I'm adding as well the reflective essay prompt, as well as reflective essay samples. So this will be the go-to in preparation and what we're working on for next week. But I want us to take a moment to individually in our own spaces. You guys can mute me. You can mute the class. But let's take a moment to, now that we've previewed and we know what we're looking for in this text, let's read the text one time through, just to, in real time, get your responses, get any reactions that we can talk out here today, okay? So it's about 10:16. I want to check back and see where we are. Let's say at about 10:50. So around 10:45, 10:50, I'll check in and just see where we are. I may ask the class a chat question. Do we need more time? Are we ready to share out? There is no rush. If you guys need more time, simply let me know. But let's go ahead and put our heads down and get our first read through of the final CRT article done right now. And we'll come out on the other end to discuss our responses. Can we do that? Do we all have access to do this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going on mute. However, the expectation, I'll put it in chat as well, is we are reading the final CRT article. We are hopefully also jotting down notes in response to, and on the other end, we'll come out and talk about that. Okay. Sorry, Giselle, I was muted. Um, we are reading the final CRT article. It is on our Brightspace page in week 13 module. You'll locate the article, Black Lives Matter, a commentary on racism in public health. And we are, now that we've gone through previewing, we are reading, hopefully jotting down notes at the same time. And we're going to take about 45 minutes or so. We said we're coming back at about 10:50. I'll check back in and see where we are. So right now we're reading, Giselle. You can find that document under module 13. Okay. All right, you guys, just kind of checking back in to see how are we doing with our reading. Is there anyone who has completed the reading? Okay, so we'll take a couple more minutes. Sorry, guys. That was a little bit longer break than I wanted it to be. I had, I won't even tell you. Look, my puppy jumped the fence. Quite a bit of drama in the past 15, 20 minutes. So my apologies if you guys have completed your reading of Black Lives Matter. Um, but what do we think, guys? What do you think about the text overall? First of all, do we like it better than we like the last article for our midterm CRT? Okay, so I see yes on that immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Topic is always important because if you are interested in that topic, students tend to write better when they are interested in the subject matter. So think about how now you are connecting to that information. Can you relate to any of it? Is there, let's say, even examples that you can point to in your own personal experience? Because although I haven't seen the essay question yet, what I anticipate that they may ask, um, the essay portion, um, they may ask if you agree or disagree with the author's point of view. They may ask you to describe or explain why. But I think they may take us beyond if we agree or disagree, because I think factually it's proven, but I think that they may ask questions more so about how you relate to the information. Have you experienced um, health implications that can be connected back to racial disparity or racism? So when I think about, anytime I read things like this, how they talk about, first of all, we saw in paragraph 2 how they started immediately with the definition of racism. So they want that to be established pretty early on, because it is racism that they feel is threatening the public health. So they want to establish what that is, what it looks like, and then they kind of walk us through some examples of how that racism affects, the women of color, as well as transgendered people in the community as well. So I know, and I see you say, Caesar, it is somewhat of a sensitive topic, but it's one that is a current event. It's just a topic that we're all speaking about more and more openly. It's made its way into the public discourse. If you guys remember, in the article, they talked too about how in 1998 they had published the I think they said memorandum. I can't memorize it right now off the top of my head, but they talked in the article about how they had wrote and released a study in 1998 about how racism was leading to certain health disparities in the community. So this is something that this public health group has been watching and has been following for a while. So the article that we read here in 2015, you got to keep in mind that they are saying, we tried to warn you guys back in 1998. We tried to warn again in 2003. So they kind of lay out that we've been talking about this for a while, and it's time that people start to pay attention. I know when I think just in terms of connecting to the text, and we'll talk in a moment about other things, but in connecting with the text, immediately what came to mind when I read this is I am recently, my birthday, I turned 43. So I'm 43, upper 40s. But I remember when I was late 30s, about 38 or so, 39, and my family, we were thinking about if we wanted to, have another child, thinking about what that would mean to finances, to the family dynamic. Thank you, Caesar. Look, Caesar is buttering me up, you guys, in the private chat. But yeah, so at that time we were thinking about, what will this mean? But one of the main things I found out in just determining whether or not we would expand our family was the dangers that I was pretty much explained to me for African American women over the age of 30. I think at the time I was like 38. Um, but African American women over the age of 35, the numbers, the health disparity for African American pregnant women, they're they are, I think, African American and Native American pregnant women are 11 times more likely to die in childbirth than their white counterparts. Well, that just blew my mind away because due to, and I'm going to just kind of quickly walk you guys through things that I learned in the process, due to racist practices in healthcare. So there is this stigma, there's this idea that women of color, Black women especially, have larger thresholds for pain. So there is a belief that if let's say for instance, I have a concern, maybe I'm having pains or I'm having issues, that particular woman may be ignored or their concerns may be put on the back burner, whereas in another group, that particular concern may warrant more medical attention. They have actual factual studies. They have actual factual statistics on this. The CDC wrote up a um, paper on this that they sent out to hospitals and to the OBGYN wards to really pay attention to this. This is a health disparity. This is a one that we're noticing that they rooted in racism, the um, mortality, um, African American death in women during childbirth. And I had no idea that it was a dangerous. The decision I was thinking about making with in expanding my family for me was a dangerous decision. It was one that my chances of death were heightened with my age, and but mainly because of my race. So if I was, let's say for instance, going to write about or talk about that, I could connect to what they're saying as far as how racism pervades public health. We also too talk about the access to healthcare that people of color may disproportionately, due to the lack of that access, they are at risk of greater health concerns. So a lot of what was talked about in the article, I made a quick connection to just based on my personal experience from a few years back when I was um, thinking about wondering, is it a good idea now to plan to have um, extend the family, etc. They scared me totally out of that idea, you guys. The research, the information, it it scared me. Like so, in the fact that they stated as a Black woman, so that constantly prefaced the study. So I mean, I saw these things. I also think back to if we're making connections to my father. He passed away at age 57 and he passed away of heart failure, but he had his first heart attack at age like 37, 38. So he had struggled with it, but his doctor too talked about how the effects of racism, him growing up with the things that he saw and the things that he experienced growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where we're from, the psychological and emotional impact carried a weight on his heart. They talked about how it affected him. It exacerbated his health. So when we were going and talking to the doctors about our options and things, they mentioned the fact that racism has played on the severity of his heart disease because he was young to have such a severe case that he had. So a lot of times what people refer to as, oh, well, they have pre-existing conditions. A lot of times those pre-existing conditions are directly rooted in racial disparities. It is true. Um, So we can make connections outside of what we see on the text by kind of maybe looking in our own communities, right? I have a question from Sam. It says, when it comes to health, would that include mental health? Yes, that's a good question. Like being nervous around police or certain people in general. Absolutely, mental health is a part of public health. Um, and we know for a fact that, yes, Caesar, we absolutely know for a fact the mental impact racism has had as well. They've talked about depression rates, suicide rates. Um, in my one-on-one class, we have read and talked about things like stigmas and how stigmas are normally rooted in stereotypes, which is rooted in racism, and how stigmas play out in healthcare. Um, so many that come to mind, but yeah, mental health. The whole idea that the stigma surrounding mental health, like there's a weakness in asking for help or getting therapy, that directly affects people of color as well. You culturally and things like that. So um, yeah, there's lots of ways you can approach the topic or the subject matter in terms of connecting to it. Look at it in terms of how can I relate to what's going on here? Has it impacted me or my family? I just kind of gave you guys examples of if I were looking at this or reading this, oh, I can point to direct um, experiences I've had on my own that could support, what I'm reading, right? So look for those connections. But with about 30 minutes left, let me hurry up. Um, I asked you guys to kind of attempt to jot down notes as you were reading. Um, I won't ask you guys to share those, but let me ask this. As you guys were reading, were you generating quite a bit of notes? Did you find the text straightforward? Um, how did we read this? Was this an easy read? I see no. I see no and yes. So here's what I'm thinking. I see no. Okay. Okay. Well, then 50-50. Okay. I see you guys tend to be a little bit in agreement. I see no and yes from one person. I see no and what do we think is the difficulty in reading this text? What do you guys think made this text difficult or not an easy read? Let me ask that. Was there anything particular? It was long. Okay. I feel you on that. What else? Look, I got to clean my glasses. I keep looking at some spot. So just that it was long, you guys, is that the only thing that made it somewhat of a difficult read? All right, well, I'll just counter it with this, you guys. Even though it's a longer read, it's definitely a much more organized read. So the way they have the paragraphs broke down makes it manageable. Again, like I pointed out, bite-sized portions at a time. Also, annotating each paragraph, I think, will make it easy to digest the information as well. They've already outlined for us what the paper will, what the article will talk about. So we already know it's going to clearly define race and racism. It's going to talk about racism as a key fundamental cause of um, health, and they plan to talk about how racism goes beyond isolated events, and lastly, what action can be taken. So that's pretty manageable. And as I'm reading it, I can just kind of take inventory of the information that I'm getting in, hopefully through my notes. So let's go ahead and get ready to put our reading of this to the side. But for homework, whether you have jotted down your notes on a notebook whether you are going electronically and adding notes. On Thursday, the assignment is to turn in a copy of your annotations from your reading of the text. Okay. So put this down here. Thursday, you're sharing your annotations. And in terms of sharing that, you guys can email it to me. I'll put the expectation into Brightspace. But in sharing with me, again, if you, I have a couple of students I know who have a printer, they print it out, they put it in front of them, and they take notes in real time. So the good thing about the article is it's double spaced. You guys, hold on, let me share with you. It's double spaced. You guys have the margins. Hold on. So it really is perfect for annotations. If you are, again, printing it out, look at all the space you guys have to jot down any of your notes. Did you guys come across a lot of vocabulary words that you found unfamiliar? Because this is a medical, they're kind of making, I see, yes. I would not only identify vocabulary or unfamiliar vocabulary words, I would make a point to jot down a brief or summarized definition in the margins, because we know after taking the midterm CRT, some of those questions are going to ask you about definition. In paragraph X, Y, and Z, when they use this, you know, how did they mean it? And they may throw out some examples there. Yes, you can go to the dictionary. Like, let's say that maybe you guys think, oh, okay, I have ways around that. But they, a lot of times, are looking for the way it was meant in that context. So you want to, perhaps in real time, as you are reading it, words like equity and things like that, jot that information down in your margins. So that you can have that information. We talked early on, treating a word you don't know like a speed bump and just kind of going on, it can be detrimental to your overall understanding of the text. So yeah, take time. Some of you pointed out you'll read it again, jot down your notes, share those with me for homework, okay? What I didn't get to do in all of the time that we took to read the text is I didn't get to email you guys your diagnostic text for our ePortfolio, our final ePortfolio. And I believe when we last were together on Thursday, that's where we left the discussion, right? Together as a class, we got through the setting it up and setting up the pages. Is that correct, you guys?
Yes.
All right, so let me share my screen. If we are all together, look, I'm seeing that we are definitely not talking. Look, other than shout out Rabia, MJ. Let me share really quickly. Where we last left off. So you guys can either feel free to watch my screen and follow along in real time in terms of the ePortfolio setup. But I want to pick up where we left off on Thursday, which was about a slide 11. Did you guys take the weekend to kind of dibble and dabble with the portfolio, dig a little bit deeper into the presentation? Have we gone over the ePortfolio presentation?
Yes.
Has anyone other than Rabia gone over the ePortfolio presentation?
Yes.
All right, good. Let's kind of talk about what we have, what we need to add for next week's submission. All right. Let me pull up first. Let's go to our ePortfolios, you guys. So you know, if you are already in our Brightspace course page, we know that house. If you guys are looking at my mouse, let me put my spotlight on. If you guys are looking at my mouse, the house up here in the corner, this is what will take us to our options for the ePortfolio. So we should have already created at least the shell of our presentation. So hold on. So that takes us here, right? You guys remember that we go to My Brightspace and you go to ePortfolio. Now I have a few things here just because I've been playing with it quite a bit. But what you guys will see when you click on ePortfolio from My Brightspace, hopefully we're all following along, you'll find your saved ePortfolio from last week. Hold on, I got something in chat. It's not letting me view it on the screen. Hold on, I'll look at it. Oh, here it is. Where you say you need to outline, Caesar, what do you mean you need to outline? What do you mean you need to outline? What does that mean? All right, if we're all on this page, let's click on our saved presentation. But before I make any changes to it, let me just click on it and see what it looks like. All right, you guys can kind of see. Together last week, we went over naming our portfolio, making sure we include the necessary information such as first and last name. Now, I don't have that here, but somewhere you guys will have first and last name. When you are completing the banner, you fill out the class section, well, the course and course section, as well as your student ID number. Okay, so I'm just looking at what we did last week, and I see that we set up our page. We identify clearly in the banner, as well as in what they call the portfolio name. We label student's full name, class and section, along with student ID number. Those things should kind of show up early on the portfolio, because when we have the English faculty score ePortfolios, they need this information to complete the rubric. So your paper, your portfolio cannot be scored without class and section information and student ID number. Okay, so we want to make sure we add that. I think we took time to do that. We also went over adding the pages for the required components of the portfolio. So we know we have 4 pages in the ePortfolio, and we start building. Today we want to add to those pages. So we got about 15 minutes, but I think I can walk us quickly through at least starting the step to where even if you guys need to complete it for homework, you should be able to do that. So let's take a look at, again, the pages. This is what I call our table of contents. In scoring your portfolio, I would click on diagnostic expectation letter, and here I should be able to find the file after we go and add the information. When I click on revised essay 1, here I should find your first draft with comments, and I should also find your revised version. So you guys will be uploading 2 items to this page. The final CRT essay, we're going to add that next week, but we
Is
have
the
a page.
is the Diane the first one, is that the first test we took?
That's that first writing exercise you took. So where you guys read Jason Oda's misspelling the word of, and you wrote in response to that, that is what goes here on the diagnostic. Now, I went in and copy and pasted, made Word documents for that. So I'm emailing, and I want you guys to listen to me carefully on this. I am emailing your diagnostic, they also refer to it as expectation letter. I'm emailing that to you for you to file upload. So for you to add it as a file upload. Rabia, hold on really quickly. Did I email you your diagnostic already?
No.
Okay, hold on really. Everybody is going to get there, but I think I was responding to an email that you sent me and I attached it to that email. So let me double check my drafts. And lastly, the paper that we're working on next week, you guys will be adding that as well. So that's where we are. That's where we left off on Thursday. Are we all in the same spot? Can
Are you
everyone confirm?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rabia.
You sent it?
You said I did send it?
Yes.
Okay. Um, so everyone else, are we all in agreement that we all have this completed with our ePortfolio? Is there anyone who has not gotten this far in the ePortfolio setup? I need to know that. All right, so I'll take the silence as we are all on the same page. We all have set up our ePortfolios and we set up the pages. Okay, so I'm going to move ahead as though we have. All right, what we'll do to add items to our pages is we're going to first, before we can add to the pages, we have to add those artifacts to our course results. So you guys will click here on the drop down next to your ePortfolio presentation. So you guys see my mouse here next to my portfolio. I'm dropping on it and I'm going into edit. So we're editing this. Okay. So when I go into edit, it takes me back to a familiar page. This is when we were first setting up our banner and that home screen. So again, you guys can clearly see name and student ID section, etc. So make sure you guys have that here under banner. Again, I want to make sure that it's in that top banner at the top of my screen with my ePortfolio. So I add all of that necessary information, okay? What we're gonna do in terms of adding items, we are clicking on the, hold on, is this the page? Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay, you guys, my bad. Let's my bright space. I'm just taking myself backwards so I can see where I missed. Okay, my bad. Where I told us to go into edit. Remember where I said go into edit? If possible, you guys come back out. This is Miss Cole's fault. We come back out. What we do next is we click on my item. So are we all back out into that ePortfolio page where we're looking at our ePortfolio presentation, right? If we go into my
Yes.
items, here is where we are going to add what the documents, they also refer to them as artifacts that we will be uploading to our ePortfolios, okay? So if you guys reviewed that ePortfolio presentation, then the next step in the process is to begin to add those items. So you would click here on this blue drop down button, you would click add. And what you see in terms of add, they're asking, do you want to pick items from, let's say, course results, from a Word document, or from a file upload? Let me be clear in telling you guys that some documents you are going to pull directly from course results. So when we look at your essay one, the motivation and the education and motivation essay, you guys submitted both your first drafts as well as your second drafts through Brightspace. So we're going to add that item because we know we need those two documents in our ePortfolio. Okay. So again, if you are using that essay one, the essay on motivation, which article motivated you the most, if you are using that article or that writing in your ePortfolio, you would click on course results to add. So first, you guys, let's click on course results. Okay. Oh, snap. Now, what you get on the page when you hit course results is it's going to show you all of the Brightspace courses that you are enrolled in. Okay. Because we want to pull from our English 96 class, what you guys have submitted in that class, you go and find that course. So you see my mouse is selecting Fall 2020 English 96 DF. Those are the course results we want to choose from, okay? So I'm clicking on this. Now, what you guys will see on my screen is it'll say no items found because I haven't submitted any documents to that particular course, but you have. So what you guys will see on your page will be totally different. Are you guys looking at all of the items or assignments you submitted in this class?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, so I heard yes. Was that you, Rabia? Oh no, that's Jamia. Okay, Jamia, do me a favor. Um, do you see that essay one first draft? Like, I don't know, how did I label it in assignments? That essay one, do you see that option?
Yeah. It's a
What?
essay one, education and motivation.
Okay, good, thank you. So you guys will, for those of you who clicked on course results, selected the fall 2020 English 96 class, once you select that class, it is going to show you all of the assignments you turned into that course. If you guys will select essay one, education and motivation. So if you select that one, and I'm hoping in you selecting that one is giving you the option of your document with the feedback. Is it giving you any options, Jamia? Or is it just that one essay option?
It's two more.
Okay, what are the other ones?
The revised essay and Sandra's essay.
Okay. I see. All right, good. Click for me the essay one, but only click essay, the revised version, if you have no other changes to make to it. Are you guys making any other changes to your revised essay one? Is there anybody who still plans to make changes to their revised essay one before including it in your final ePortfolio? Is there anybody who still plans to work on and fix your papers? I'll say this, and only because I haven't seen it, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head. There's several, but not to put anybody directly on the spot, but let me just, only because I just remember yours off top, MJ. For revised essay one, even though it's a much better essay, your grade improved, I did make a note that you want to fix your margins before you add it to your portfolio. Have those margins or anything been changed or fixed? Look, that's for MJ. She here? Did I lose her? MJ? All right, she may have walked away. Go ahead and select both of them, you guys. However, some of you need to go back through and read my comments on your revised essay 1 if you haven't already, because some of you, I made a note, you need to revise again before adding to your portfolio. So for right now, just go ahead and select it, because all it's doing is adding it as an option for you to include in your portfolio. It's not you adding it just yet. So for right now, go ahead and select all 3 of those documents. Select the essay 1, the revised. Some of you plan to use your essay for the Sandra Cisneros. So let's just go ahead and select that as well. So we select all 3, and then you guys will click the next button.
Is this for the ePortfolio?
This is for the ePortfolio.
I just have the essay 1 and the revised essay, so I can just click them both.
Yeah, just click those both, and then you'll hit next. Now, Rabia, I think you just spoke up. Did you, what's the word? Did you decide which essay you would be using in your ePortfolio? The,
Yes.
okay. Are you using the education and motivation? Or are you doing the Sandra Cisneros one?
The education and motivation.
Okay. So you have that. So you select that. Okay. Everybody else, make sure you guys are selecting all of them. Look, we're just going to be on the safe side. Let's just add all of them, and whatever we don't need, we won't have to worry about adding it or including it to the portfolio. But for now, just so that we're able to add these items to our selection, go ahead and click on them and click next. Now, I'm going to try this. It's going to tell me that I can't because I don't have any documents. So let me go to the presentation. All right. So here's what you guys probably see on your screens. Hold on. Let me move up a little bit. All right, so we were here. We looked first at course results, and that's where you guys went and you added your documents, and we clicked next. So what did the screen tell us after you guys clicked next? What did it say?
It just asked me if I wanted to save.
Okay, click yes, you want to save. Okay, did it pull up a screen similar to what I have here? You know what I'm sharing, where it says once you pick your classes, you pick those assignments, you click the box, and then you click next. It says be sure to include file. If the document has an odd name, now is the place to change it. So I don't believe any of the documents had an odd name, but if you guys wanted to change anything, let's say maybe you put essay 1 and then you put revised version, something like that, you have the option to, in this, at this particular point, to make it a identifiable name for you. But other than that, once you guys click through on to next, it should give you a list of the assignments you added. Do you guys see that? Right? So once the items are added, the presentation, the course results, the uploaded items will be listed under my items. So let's do this. Let me take us out for just a second. Let me stop share for 1 second. I know we're at the end of the time. Let me just make sure we at least all have this in common before we go. So let me one more time share my screen. And from you guys adding the artifacts, let's go back to the My Brightspace. Let's go to ePortfolio. And let's click on my items. Under your items, it should show everything that you guys just selected. Do you see under my items, do you see the Essay 1, Education and Motivation, and do you see the revised version that you selected today?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Do we all see that? I heard from Sam. Do we all see that? Now
Yeah.
mine, okay. All right. Because as long as you see it here, then that will mean when it's time to add it to your pages in the ePortfolio, you'll be able to add that content. So you can only add what you've included to your items, okay? Now, with that being said, because I'm about to go ahead and get us out of here, I am emailing you your diagnostic writings. You guys wrote that in a quiz, so it wouldn't allow you to select from it when you went under course results. So you guys will be adding another document for homework, okay? So let's listen to this. I'm emailing your diagnostic for homework. You will be adding your diagnostic to your items. So where you guys just went to course results, because I'm emailing you the document and the file, you guys will download that file to your computers or to your flash drive, wherever you have it saved. And then to add it to your ePortfolio items, you'll come back here to your Brightspace, click on ePortfolio, you'll come to My Items and you want to add. But rather than go to course results, you are going to File, Upload. Because I emailed you a file that is not in Brightspace that you will have to upload to your items, okay? So you click on File, Upload, and where you save that diagnostic document, you would then go locate that document in your, again, flash drive or on your computer, and you'll upload it here. Once you see it, because I have it saved by your name, and it said, so let's say for instance, I put MJ Capers Diagnostic. You guys will find that document and you would click upload. Once you upload it, you would click add. And as you add it, it'll show up to your items list. And that will allow you, when we add that document to our ePortfolio, you will have an item that you can add to your diagnostic. Okay? So what we did today, you guys are doing this on a mini scale at home before Thursday's class. You are receiving your diagnostic, you're saving it, and then you're coming here to add it to your file. So let me come back out to show you guys one last time how you'll do that. Always hit that house if you're on the course page. You come out to My Brightspace. You'll click on ePortfolio and you'll go to My Items. We're adding items. That's the step we are in the process. You'll click Add, and you'll, instead of course results, because we've already taken everything from the course, we're now going to add a file upload. You take that file, you save it, and then you upload it to your items, okay? So that is Rabia. You'll stay after with me for just a second, and I'll kind of clarify if you missed anything. But from that, the homework, annotate, send me your annotations, reread through the article, and add the diagnostic to your items. That's our homework. I'll reiterate it on Brightspace. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll do my best to help you out. Okay. All right. The silence. Look, I think I may have lost some of us. Okay, Caesar, you asked about me, the video uploading. I have to upload it to YouTube. So after the class ends, it normally will convert to a video. I then upload that video to YouTube, get the link and share it on Brightspace. So give me a little bit of time to add the class video because it takes it a while to convert and for me to get it uploaded. So I'll do that though, but you can go to Brightspace to submit the poem. That there's an assignment that you should be able to submit that under. If not, email it to me. One way or another, I'll get it. All right. Did you guys have any other questions? All right. I think I lost some of us during the reading. But if you guys have any questions, reach out via email. Let me know. I'll do my best to help.